As we, Sparkles and Cuddlebear and I, walk towards the Ephemeral Pond, you see that tree that's sticking up there. That's the grandfather tree, the hackberry tree. It's called the Spiny Hackberry, and it is the highest tree formation just about, unless people planted something else, that's in the East Mesa. And it marks the position of the pond bank. And there used to be these hackberry trees all the way around it. In fact, if you go under that hackberry tree, as we might do today, you can see fence posts from the old farmers and ranchers that cared for the ephemeral pond. Now, why is there an ephemeral pond here? Because, well, an arroyo runs all the way from the Oregon Mountains, and here you see it. It's still the wetland even now in the dry part of the summer, where we've had very, very little rain. In these drought periods, wetland ponds are extremely important. You can see where vehicles are making multiple entrances, fragmenting the pond. It used to be this one entrance, but they were able to jump over the other side and cut down enough of these trees to where it's not here. Bit of roofing material, I'll cart that out today. Somebody has visited here. There's some kind of trash in the distance there. It looks like a hunk of plastic, maybe a blue in here. But let's take a look at grandfather tree. If you approach grandfather tree, you want to do it respectfully and say, grandfather tree, do I have permission to approach you? And then you want to wait in silence to see if grandfather tree gives you permission. And right now he's saying, yes, approach me, and please remove this trash that's here. It's a piece of metal. Oh, it looks like maybe some kind of part of that toaster oven that was here. And if you go inside towards the tree, now there's a couple more pieces of trash here we'll pull out. Okay, we can actually ask permission to touch the bark of the tree. And let's see, here's a fence post that was probably here, could be a century ago. Maybe there's some scientists that can come out here and tell me about it. Here's a bed spring, and that's been, grandfather trees tell me this bed spring has been kind of a pain in his ass, and his tree roots. And yeah, we'll haul these out today. And grandfather tree says he doesn't need this broken liquor bottle here, so we'll go over here to the burn pile. The burn pile is getting smaller and smaller day by day as I cart things out, and now I'm going to cart these things out on. Oh, okay, here's another beer bottle. Yeah, it's smashed to bits. We're going to have to come back with a shovel for that one. And what is this? Oh, this was the thing I saw flickering in the distance. These plastic shopping bags are so destructive to the desert. And here we see somebody's, looks like a napkin or something. Hope they don't have coronavirus. So we'll walk along here and see if we can't find a discarded something or other and put this in. Otherwise, I'll just hold on to it and carry it back and properly dispose of the metal in recycling. And the well, that string could be used for something. Anyway, thank you for listening. And Ephemeral Pond is more peaceful now because it takes our acts and deeds of true storytelling practices to uncover the truth of a place and our role in a sacred place. And I believe our role in a sacred place is the same as generations before us, to understand how it is situated in the East Mesa, how it's part of our food chain, our water cycle, and our aquifer, groundwater, our surface water that happens only a couple months a year. Here you can see another beer bottle over there. We're going to go over and pick that up, and that's about all I can handle with the two dogs right now until I find a container. But thanks for listening. There's a heartfulness meditation you can do here in Ephemeral Pond. We do it in the Shamanic Drumming meetings Mondays, 11 a.m. and davidboje.com, no spaces, you can find out about it. And anyway, one of the things we do is you find a place in Mother Earth that you've been to or are now. Like right now I'm here in front of the grandfather tree, and I'm going to go to upper and lower world and leave the middle world here, leave one foot in it anyway, and my other foot's going to be in upper world and in lower world, and I'm going to call them the power animals, the toad, the spadefoot toad and the fairy shrimp, the other creatures of the area that I know as power animals, and the water, the element of water, which has its own spirit. So I'm going to call on those, and I'm going to thank Grandfather Tree for letting me remove the springs and the bottles, etc. I found a Canadian mist. It's 40% alcohol in a plastic bottle, and I'm hauling that out with some other items just to make Grandfather Tree, that Spiny Hackberry, the last remaining tree in the pond here, make his life a little better. So I circle around the boundaries of the earth. I circle around the boundaries of the earth, wearing my long feathered wings as I fly, wearing my long feathered wings as I fly. Some of us believe we all have wings, we just may not be able to see them. And I journey to upper world, to the top of the hackberry tree. I jump into the clouds, and off I go. I'm aware of climbing up past the clouds into the first level where my grandmother Wilda is there. Wilda, What can you tell me about grandfather tree? Very old, this tree. Part of a circle of trees, the protectors of the pond, the guardians of the pond. What is my responsibility? To keep hauling this stuff out, to tell your stories. The storyteller's job is to tell the long story, the whole story of the whole place, its sacredness, its role in centuries of life, generation to generation. Thank you. Thank you. So we'll come back down. Thank you, Grandma Wilda, who lived in the forest and was a ranger and a trick rope rider in the rodeo. And during the Great Depressions, she was living months at a time alone, caring for my mother in a dirt-floored shack in the state of Washington, and could, thank a rabbit for being able to throw a rock at it and use it as food to feed my mother and stay alive. And I thank her for that. I thank her for her wisdom about plants and animals and life that she's passed on to me. I thank my dad, too, who, after 3 marriages, went to live as a hermit in the forests of Oregon and at a dump site, much like this. Stayed there about 6 years until he found himself, found his purpose in life, not being a millionaire that he once was, not being in poverty that he was mostly, but caring for the trees. He loved the trees. He didn't burn pallets like they burn them here. He took the wood because the wood he realized came from all over the world, and he would understand where in the world that wood came from, and he would build clocks and pens and other objects, toys and things to hang on the wall, and he would whittle away at them and sand them and polish them and shellac them and made beautiful art objects, and he was the happiest of his whole life. So I thank the messages for today, and circle around the boundaries of the earth, wearing my long-winged feathers as I fly, because I know that the greatest scientists of all times were also mystics, and I'm a storytelling scientist, and I like the mystical life. I like the aliveness and sacredness of a place, and I like giving gratitude to trees, to plants, to reptiles, to aquatic life.